All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Fear the Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the 12th episode for Fear the Walking Dead Season 5. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts on a possible relationship forming between Alicia and Wes. Alright, impossible spoiler warning if you are not caught up for Fear the Walking Dead, which is up to the 11th episode for Fear the Walking Dead Season 5. So we did a few videos last few days for Fear, review for episode 11, we did predictions for episode 12, which is whatever. Episode 12 looks like it's, it's going to be whatever. You can pretty much tell right away from the trailer. It just looks like, I don't know. Anyway, and then we did one on fans giving up on Fear, because the top comments for the review video were that, two different people were like, I just give up on Fear. And a whole bunch of people thumbs it up. So I decided we would focus on that yesterday. So we had our monthly or a half season, annual or season bitch fest about Fear yesterday in that video. So that's what that was all about. I feel like we need that, every year. It's fun, right? It's fun to bitch about things sometimes, as long as it doesn't get to be every single episode or something like that. So it's what it is. So, but this one does come up from a question from episode 11. That is, could we see a possible relationship form between our new character, Wes, and Alycia of Fear? And there are moments in the episode with episode 11 where it feels like that might be what they're setting up, especially when you bring up the mentions of brothers. So you have Wes, who kind of lies about going to see his brother and then reveals later that his brother is dead, and then you have her think of Nick, because of course he was her brother, obviously, and so you get some kind of a similarity there. But with regards to Wes, I mean, most people, from what we've been seeing so far, sound like they're not huge fans of Wes. I'm not sure if Wes is supposed to be like sort of, his style is somewhat similar to Heath in terms of his hair and stuff like that. He doesn't have glasses, though, so he's not exactly a Heath clone. If he had the glasses, then I'd say for sure he's a Heath clone. If he had these just reduce eye strain. They're not prescription or anything. But something like that. Then we could say for sure that he's like a Heath clone. But if you look at the original Walking Dead series, they never really used Heath very much before the actor left and then never came back. So is that what they're going for with this one? Does it just happen that Wes has a similar hairstyle to Heath and it looks maybe a little bit like, he doesn't look that much like him, he looks a little bit like him, minus the glasses and everything, at least in style and stuff like that. So, and he also seems to kind of be a runner type of character where they've got, he's got the guns going, he kind of runs around and does that kind of stuff. That's something you could picture Heath doing from the comics. So I don't know. But it's one comparison that's come up quite a few times already. So the possibility for a new love interest for Alycia. So she's had the one in the first season, which was that high school, when they were in high school, and so she had a boyfriend there. And then, of course, in the third season with, I want to say Jake, is that was the character's name? I think it's Jake, right? And then, of course, after that, because he didn't survive, he almost got scalped too, which was brutal. You guys remember that episode? That was one of the most brutal things ever. The only thing was afterwards, they came back, they gave this little scar, and it's I think it would be bigger than that, but okay. So there was that, and then maybe it's time. Is it maybe time to have another kind of love interest for her in the series? Maybe. Now, people do bring up right away, this is GM's comment, it's not my comment. He says, oh, wait, let me guess. Wes is going to be Alicia's new love interest. Hey, writers, enough with the black-white couplings. So, bring race into it straight away, what it is right away. It's, her first boyfriend in the series was black, too, so African-American, too. So, I like to think of it, I try to think of it as I don't think you should bring race into it. I think that should be something totally not cool. But so let's get that out of the way. But in terms of at least where each of them, in terms of the page, so are they on the same page? Well, I guess they're at the end of the manuscript with the trees and painting it being therapeutic. So from what I'm seeing in the episode from episode 11, it kind of looks like it to me. It looks like that's what they're setting up. It'll probably be a long time. It'd probably be maybe a season 6 thing if they do it. I wouldn't think they would do it the same season, but it looks to me like Wes is going to be kind of an important character in Fear. The only thing is that they're adding so many characters onto Fear, and they already have quite a few, that we're going to have to see how they balance, having all these different people in Fear, because, you have Annie and the kids as well, too, which have had no time so far this half. Have they even had a single scene yet this half? I don't think so. Daniel's been in there a little bit. You've got Dwight in there somewhere. Then you got Morgan and Althea. You've got Alicia and Strand, and now you have Wes as well too. So you have a lot of different things happening. You have a lot of different characters here. Do we need to add on somebody else here? I'm not sure. But from what I saw in the episode, it kind of looked like they were setting this up as a potential love interest for Alycia. But at the same time, the episode was so hard to follow, and it was so kind of strange in the way everything felt about it, like with the manuscript and everything, that I just wasn't sure. Also because it kind of comes across in a way where, Alycia and the gang, they're really good people. They're trying to help everybody. They're trying to go out there and help everyone. And Wes just kind of shoots that down right away as nonsensical, which is, he's got a point, right? He's definitely got a point from his side that it's kind of ridiculous that they keep going around here trying to, help everybody because, you can't help everyone. And it's just what it is. So, I don't know. It looks like that's what they're shaping it up to be. I don't know how much to read into it or if that is what they're doing. I guess we'll see. There wasn't that much in the episode, but it didn't feel like from that episode in terms of chemistry, like they clicked that well. So, and a lot of that, like I said, is probably due to the philosophies they have being so different. So it's what it is. So I think it's okay. But if they do it, I wouldn't want to see it take away from, how much they built up Alycia and how she's become very badass in the series. She's kind of coming back to it now after the PTSD stuff. But the first season stuff where she's running around killing zombies and doing all that stuff, I wouldn't want to see them kind of go away from that, entirely or even a little bit. They should probably go back to that pretty soon, actually, because, it can't last that long to have somebody who's so seasoned and been in the series since the very beginning being scared to kill walkers and stuff like this and then having to be protected and stuff. It just doesn't feel right. So you guys let me know. Leave your comments below. What do you think about the new character of Wes, comparisons between him and Heath, and a possible relationship starting between Alicia and Wes here? Is that what we're seeing? It kind of looked like it to me, but I just don't know if it's really necessary with the amount of characters they have. We'll see what they do with him and how long he lasts in the series. I think he'll probably be around in season 6. That's just a prediction, though. I don't know. We'll see. At The Walking Dead, so we'll get into some of our questions for today, says, Trev Q&A, will you continue watching this disaster? Keep up the great work. So I don't think it's necessarily a disaster. I think it was just episode 11 was it was kind of strange, and it just didn't work out. Maybe they were trying to do too much with too many twists and that kind of thing, and they were just trying to do a lot in that episode, and it just seemed to not kind of work, or it's just kind of the way that Logan is, that he's just a strange kind of villain. Some people brought up that maybe Logan is trying to feed up to the Commonwealth, or that he's trying to get a ticket to the Promised Land, which could also be Commonwealth. So he's trying to find oil to serve the Commonwealth so he can kind of get into the Commonwealth, which is a cool idea. I would kind of like that, or the helicopter group, whoever that ends up being. So if they do go that route, that would be kind of interesting, and it would make sense that Logan is kind of like this, kind of, I don't want to say dweeby, but he's kind of this, not like a fearsome villain. He's kind of like a wimpy type of villain, because he's actually not the head honcho. He's just trying to get the oil so he can give it to somebody so he can weasel his way into the Commonwealth, something like that. So I think that could be kind of cool. We'll see if that's where they're going for the rest of the season. And again, for season 6 next year, I guess, how this continues, because season 6 will not air until after the new Walking Dead series is aired, I don't think. Monument, right? Because I think they're going to have the original Walking Dead season 10, then the new series, the third spin-off series, Monument, if that's what it's going to be called, and then after that, with the kids and that, with the new series, and then after that, Fear will probably return at that point. So it'll be quite a while. But I don't think necessarily it's a disaster. I just think that it has a lower budget. You have different people directing episodes that haven't been doing it for very long, and you have a new show running team. We got to give them some time to kind of find their stride, and they're still kind of trying to, I think, find maybe kind of what their vision for Fear is more set, and kind of that fine line between sort of the unrealistic comedy side of things and while still keeping it Walking Dead and being somewhat serious sometimes too. Brian Achim says, Wes already has more character development and screen time than Heath. He might actually. That might be true. So again, that's what, kind of made us think, is he going to be kind of like, because Heath was never really developed in the TV series version. So did they give us this Wes character as sort of like a Heath 2.0, or because we won't probably see Heath in the movies, I think he's probably dead already or gone for good. Did they kind of do this with him, with Wes, so that he could, or is it just a coincidence that he happens to have a hairstyle that's somewhat similar to Heath's? I don't know. So he reminds people of Heath. I'm not sure. Epic Zombie Killer says, "Hey Trev, do you think Madison needs to return? And if she did, would bringing her back save the show? I think it will, but I want to hear your thoughts. Have an awesome day." So, I think right now, whether or not Fear the Walking Dead continues for many more years, more than anything, it's going to be dependent on stuff that's actually outside of Fear, like stuff like AMC Premiere, how much, in terms of viewership, how many people they need to get to watch it, because it's just been declining every year, unfortunately. And no matter what they do, whether they do crossovers or whether they do combining mid-season premieres to do a double premiere, double finale, whatever they seem to try to do, it just year by year seems to decline more and more and more. Hopefully it will stay at least where it's at right now, or kind of maybe regain some viewers. If you brought Madison back, I think that could be really good for the show, and it could re-add a lot of viewers in that. But there's a lot of questions with that too. Look at how many characters they've added in now. How is everybody going to get enough time? And with the budgets, how can they afford to include everybody as part of a new community in every episode? Like, it's going to be tricky for them to kind of figure out, with having all these different people in it, how much time each person gets. Do they give Morgan? Is Morgan going to be in every episode? Is he going to be? Are there going to be a good number of episodes he's not in? Who's going to be in which one? And if you brought Kim Dickens back as Madison, could be really cool. But how long would she come back for? Would she stay for a year or two and then be killed off after that or something? How would you do it, and how would that whole thing work out? So, I'm pretty much moving on from it now. I think that it's a cool fan theory, but I don't think we will see it. I do not think we will see Madison back in Fear again. I think we are to take it, even though it was not shown on screen, that they saw her die, I guess, or something like this. Or we are to assume that she's dead, and there's basically no chance of her coming back, which is a shame. But it's what it is. You got to move on. It'll be pretty soon. It'll be over a season and a half, like a year and a half to 2 years since that happened. So it's kind of getting late now. If you're going to bring her back at some point, but better late than never. They did wait like 7 years to bring Morales back, right? So sometimes there's some exceptions to that rule, but not too many. Maybe Taka eventually will return too. That'd be cool. Have him come back as a villain, just scalping everybody. It's brutal. You see somebody scalped, and you think like, oh my goodness, maybe he became a brutal badass villain, and that's what they do with him or something. That'd be cool. But if they did it, would it help save the show? I think it would help a lot, because those earlier viewers would all come back, I think, to see it, because they want to see her return. It'd be a big thing to do. But again, like we're looking at the last couple of years, the crossover sounded like it was like the biggest thing ever. And then it just seemed to be like, okay, maybe for a little bit, but then right after that, just kind of, it's just like Fear normalized back to what it was going to do anyway. So it's hard to say. It's almost like no matter what they do, it's probably going to just sort of do as it's going to do anyway. But if they did something like that, certainly I think it could help. David says, Trev, why do viewers prefer death and desperation in The Walking Dead instead of hope and helping others in Fear the Walking Dead? Are we all mean MFers? So I don't think we're all mean MFers or psychopathic or something like that. But I think it's more exciting when people are, kind of having to fight for survival, and there's threats and there's things like this, and it's sort of, it's very exciting, right, for that perspective of things. I think for Fear, them going their own route with making more about helping other people and that kind of stuff too, I think it's noble. I think it's good. I just think that they haven't run into, like, nobody has died so far. They've added a lot of people to their numbers. So pretty soon here, we got to see things start to go kind of bad again. Like, you got to start to see things normalized to Walking Dead standards, to where they run into some people that are bad people, and they just, some of them are killed and stuff like this. Like, that kind of has to happen for it to still be Walking Dead, I think. Otherwise, it's becomes something totally different into where the universes don't feel the same. And they do kind of have to still feel the same for us to feel like it's still Walking Dead. So I think that, we kind of have to see some of that. And also, peacetime is not all that exciting. like when things are peaceful, can you imagine like a whole season of just peaceful living in a community? It would be very boring. You have to have some things happen. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well, too. And the last one will be from Nathan OK, who asked a great question. He said, Trev Q&A, if you had it your way, what would have happened in Fear Season 4 and 5. So if I had it my way, how would have things gone in 4 and 5? So, I mean, we could do this the long way, and we could do like a whole video on that. But, you know, just to do it kind of short, obviously, you guys know I would not have wanted them to kill off Madison at all, so I would not have had that happen. I think the Vultures were a cool villain, and there were some cool things they did there that were kind of interesting, but maybe you could do a fake-out death for Madison, and then you have her come back in the second half or something like that. And I would have liked to have seen Morgan and Madison kind of fight side by side, so to where it's not like, you know, one's replacing the other, like Madison, the old lead, is replaced by Morgan, and it just feels like a replacement like that. I would have had them fight side by side against maybe the Vultures, and, you know, you could still have Nick be killed off because he wanted to leave. So you could have still done that anyway, and that would have been a big enough death for the first half. You didn't need to kill both Nick and Madison to, you know, in the same half. It just wasn't really necessary. You could have just done Nick and then had Madison, maybe the Vultures kill Nick, and then Madison and Morgan, you know, fight together against the Vultures, defeat them, and you see something like that happen. So, for starters, we'll start with that. I mean, the second half, I do a totally different villain, I think, than what they did do. I didn't think that lady was... I don't even remember her name now. Starts with an M. Is it Martha? Something like that. No, it's not Superman's mom. No, Martha. What is it? I forget her name. Whatever it is. Starts with an M. You know, the lady in the second half of Fear Season 4. Not a great villain. You know, maybe you bring Taka back, you do something like that as a hardcore villain, but this time just stay a villain. You know, something like that, or a new villain of some kind. Also, right now, I like the first half of Fear Season 5. I think that was cool with everything they did there. But pretty soon, I think we would want to see them find a place where they can live and a community and kind of set up shop there, because I think a home base right now would be kind of cool to actually see them set up. So we'll see if they do that and just kind of how things go for the rest of the season here. But at least for, you know, what we've seen since the crossover, that's kind of, those are the big things I would change just off of the top of my head. Anyway, if you guys like the video, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite, and subscribe at the bottom left. If you're new, leave the comments below. And that's it for this video today, guys. We'll see you again soon for another. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.